Hello, my friends, and God bless you. This is E3 with John Guns. I am presently in Detroit, Michigan. It's a little chilly. It's a little chilly, especially coming from Houston on yesterday. But I'm excited because I'm living out the vision of my life, and it's exciting. I want to encourage everybody. Listen to me, everybody, to invite someone right now to watch E3. And I want to encourage you to take notes today. I want to encourage you to take notes. I want everybody to invite somebody, and then I want to encourage you to take notes. So I'll give you 30 seconds to do that. I'll give you some time to do that. I'm going to make sure that today everybody benefits from this, because what I want to talk about is I want to talk about developing the capacity to be great, developing the capacity to be great. And I want to build it on something that I've come to understand is vitally important, and that is courage. The capacity to be great is tied to the courage to do the things that are necessary to produce the life that you've been created to produce. The capacity to be great is tied to the courage. It's tied to courage, and courage is necessary for you to do the things that are necessary for you to be great. I know that sounds really kind of redundant. Courage is necessary for you to do the things that's necessary for you to live out a life of greatness. And so today I want to begin with a quote from Aristotle, which says that courage is the mother of all virtues, because without it you cannot consistently perform the others. Okay, let me go back and read it again. Courage is the mother of all virtues, because without it you cannot consistently perform the others. That's Aristotle. One of the things that I've discovered about being a person who desires to be great, desires to be successful, and I'm not talking about this kind of arrogant or narcissistic need that people have to be applauded and to be complimented. No, I'm talking about you are looking at your life, you're looking at your life within the scheme of the world, and you're saying to yourself, I want to produce at the highest level I possibly can. And so in order for me to produce, I have to be willing to make the decisions, or make the choices, or do the things that are necessary to be great. Reality is that no one achieves anything great without having courage. And this idea of living out a great life, and I'm telling you now, it is important that you understand the necessity of wanting to live a life that is great, that is successful, that is productive, a life that impacts others, a life that transcends any and everything that you could have ever imagined. That's where my life is right now. My life has transcended any and everything I could ever imagine. I'm preaching places I never thought I would. I'm walking in spaces and interacting with people I never thought I would interact with. I'm engaged in relationships with people I never thought I would be engaged with. People I didn't even know existed. I am able to sit and present in spaces that, because of where God has ordained for my life to be. And so it is important that, because God wants your life to be a life of completion, a life of fulfillment, a life of achievement, it is imperative that you understand what it takes to be great. And it takes courage. And let me read that again. Courage is the mother of all virtues, because without it, you cannot consistently perform the others. And so I want to kind of jump right in and talk about why courage is important and what is produced out of being courageous. The first thing is that in order to be courageous so you can live a life of greatness, you have to understand the value of self-confidence while balancing it with humility. Make sure you get this. You have to understand the value of self-confidence while balancing it with humility. Now, one of the most important things that I've discovered in the course of my life is the value of self-confidence, right? I mean, because truthfully, and I know some of you are going to probably say, no, not you. Yes, me. I've sometimes had incredible battles with this idea or this necessity of self-confidence, right? Because self-confidence is not arrogance. And for us as people of faith, self-confidence is really trusting and believing God and then giving ourselves away to God, knowing that it is in God that we are able to thrive, to be effective, to live productive. It is our relationship with God that gives us the ability to do it. But the thing that's so amazing is that if you don't understand that it requires you being confident in that fact and then having the courage to execute, I'm going to come back to that word in a minute, to execute the thing that God has created you to execute, then what you're going to end up doing is never having the courage to go forth and to trust God. Years ago, I did a message about Gideon. I wish I could find the notes. I did this message about Gideon. And the thing that was so amazing about the sermon for me was that it really spoke to a man who was really dealing with some very real self-esteem issues. And it made him very passive. And I need you to get this. Passivity and humility are not the same. A part of what the enemy tries to do is to walk us into passivity, whereby we are afraid to try. We are afraid to push forward. We are afraid to risk for fear of failure. But here's the powerful thing. Failure is not your enemy. Failure is a part of the process of your success. Zen Shin once wrote, "A flower does not think of competing to the flower next to it. It just blooms." Whew, man, two flowers are sitting together. The flower that is next to a flower does not see competition in the other flower. It just blooms. Self-confidence is doing you, right? Doing you. When there are other people in that same space, do you. When there are other people who are just as gifted, maybe even more gifted, do you. Self-confidence is that you believe that you are capable of doing great things, that you are capable of living out great things. And so you go about the business of doing you. Put that, my God, put that in the thread. Do you. God has created you to do you. David in chapter 17 of 1 Samuel, we all know it. David goes to fight Goliath, but he doesn't go to fight Goliath with the armor of Saul. He goes to fight Goliath with his own armor. And that's the thing I want to encourage you to do. I want to encourage you to trust that who you are is sufficient enough to do the things you're created to do. I'm learning that every day as I'm thrust into not only this new experience of being dean, but now I'm thrust into this new experience of being a pastor. Because the majority of you up here are my members. And so one of the things I've tried to do is teach you through this dean opportunity. But I'm also wanting now to come back and teach you that as a pastor, I must be more creative and more energized. And I must believe that I can lead our church in a new season, that I can lead our church towards the destiny and the purpose that God has ordained for it coming out of the pandemic, that I can be the leader I'm created to be. But it must be because I have the courage to walk out the will of God. Can I encourage you by telling you that God has amazing purpose for you? That God has amazing things for you to achieve and accomplish? That God is not going to set you up to fail, but that God is setting you up to succeed. And because you are created and made in the image of God, you must have confidence in who you are. There are times when I have shied away from saying things that I should have said. But what I'm discovering is that when I am operating in confidence, healthy confidence, guess what ends up happening? Not only do I say it, but I say it in a way that moves things in a positive direction. You must understand the value of self-confidence. Number 2, you got to own your dreams. You got to own your dreams. Oh my goodness. You got to own your dreams. What does that mean? Owning your dreams mean that you genuinely believe you're created for something. And when that becomes clear to you, you invest in it. When that becomes clear to you, you commit to it. Clarity, put that in the chat or in the thread. Clarity then is profoundly necessary for there to be any success in your life. You have to be clear. And sometimes clarity comes with a painful process whereby you are rejected by others or rejected by systems. But in the rejection by that system, God gives you the capacity to live in clarity. The courageous person is the clear person. They live with clarity. Oprah Winfrey once said, you get in life what you have the courage to ask for. Your dreams have to be you declaring that this is what I believe I'm supposed to do with my life. This is what I believe I'm capable of being. Clarity. And I want to challenge you in this season to not run from clarity, but to run to clarity. I want to challenge you in this season to not be afraid of the possibilities, but to embrace the possibilities and to know that all things work together for good. Clarity. Man, nothing like it. Nothing matches it. Clarity. This weekend, I am hosting some pastors from KFI, Kingdom Fellowship International. If you're watching today and you want to join us this weekend in Jacksonville, you still have time to register. I'm sure Ray will put it up on the screen at the end. But it's interesting. It took me years to have the confidence to embrace that I could lead a fellowship. And, you know, it's got about 20, 30 pastors in it, you know, spouses. But the thing that was so empowering for me was when I started moving beyond the lack of confidence and I started owning this as the dream that God had given to me to walk out. It was in that moment that I began to discover that I always was capable. Even now, as I am balancing leading a phenomenal church with an amazing school, it is the fact that I'm learning to own it. I own the dream. So let me give you 3 things that I think will help you in the ownership of the dream. 1, learn to invest in yourself. Let me give you 2 things you need to do to invest in yourself. 1, invest in education. Invest in education. Now, I'm not talking just about a degree, but I'm also talking about exposing yourself to the information that will make you effective. Invest in yourself through education. And let me throw out a word connected to education. You can put this in the thread. It's preparation. Invest in yourself, right? Build up an awareness of information. Build up information that makes you aware. Build up information that grows you. Invest in yourself. Here's the second thing tied to investing in yourself is this whole idea of setting aside resources that propels your dream. Setting aside resources that propels your dream. That's financial resources and that's relational resources. Setting aside resources that propels your dream, right? Understand the power of setting aside resources financially, but also relational resources. There are certain relationships that are destined to propel your dream. So you open up your heart, you open up your mind, you open up yourself, and you say, I'm going to do the work of investing in myself. I'm going to do preparation. I'm going to work at it. I'm going to prepare myself. But here's the other piece. I'm going to set aside resources. I'm going to set aside. There are certain relationships that are designed to propel my dream. I'm going to take advantage of those relationships. There are certain resources in relationships. There are certain financial resources that I need to set aside so I can walk out purpose. You got to set aside the resources. Invest in yourself. Secondly, give yourself an opportunity, meaning you can't say no to everything. You got to sometimes say yes and try something, Wow, that's big. You gotta learn every time you say no to somebody inviting you to do something or somebody offering you an opportunity. Every time you say no, you're cheating yourself. Every time you say, well, I don't have time, or no, I'm not sure if I can get it done, or no, I don't want to come on and do this, or no, I can't take time to do this. Every time you say no, you are cheating yourself. Give yourself an opportunity. But here's the last thing I want to say as it relates to owning your dreams. Trust who you are. Trust who you are. Trust that you're capable. Trust that you've been created in the image of God, but you're capable. Learn to trust yourself. So invest in who you are. Give yourself an opportunity and then trust who you are. Wow. And just imagine if you start to trust who you are. If you say, you know what, I can do this. I can do this. I'm excited for my wife. And Ray, I don't know if you can find the hopefully you can put this up at the end as well. You know, my wife has started her own customized designer shoe business. And it's been amazing because when my wife first started doing this around the house, she was like, she was doing this because it was for her. And then she saw a business opportunity in it. And now she trusts herself to do it. And do not be afraid to trust who you are. You can go back to school. Trust who you are. You can be the dean of the seminary and the pastor of the church. There you go. He put it up. Thank you, Ray. If you can put it up at the end too, right? Trust who you are. Yes. Make investments in yourself. Give yourself opportunities. Learn to say yes to some stuff. And then trust who you are. Number 3, see now as your best opportunity to execute. See now as your best opportunity to execute. What does that mean? Ecclesiastes chapter 11, verse 4, one of my favorite verses. You know what it says? If you wait till the wind and the weather just right, you'll never sow anything. And because you'll never sow anything, you'll never harvest anything. If you wait till all of the conditions are right, you'll never. And I preached this verse at least 20 times in my 26 years. It's one of my favorite verses to preach. Want to know why? Because honestly, at the end of the, if you don't do in your now season, you will never produce anything. You'll never have evidence that you will ever hear. You gotta produce, man. You gotta produce. So you gotta be willing to execute. And I want to give you a couple of things. One, in being a person who executes, you assess the possibility and then you aggressively move. You assess the possibility, then you aggressively move. But here's the other thing. You ready? Not only do you assess the possibility, then you aggressively move. You move while moving. It sounds crazy, right? You move while you're moving, meaning while you're moving, you're growing. That's what I'm trying to say to you. While you're moving, you're growing. And you're growing into that which you're moving towards. Whew, that's good. You're growing into that which you're moving towards. So while you're moving, you're moving. While you're moving, you're developing. While you're moving, you're maturing. Right? So in your execution is also development. In your execution is also personal growth. And one of the great things about serving God and about living in this season is that God wants you to execute and take some risk and move forward. Here's the other thing. Listen to doers. I love this. Listen to doers. Don't listen to people who are doing nothing, who are sitting around complaining. Listen to doers. Listen to doers. That's why you need to listen to me, because I'm a doer. Listen to me. Listen to me. I'm a doer, man. Listen to doers. Listen to doers. That's what I want you to do. I want you to listen to doers. Robert Powell writes, if you make listening and observation your occupation, you will gain much more than you can by talking. If you make listening and observation your occupation, you will gain much more than you can by talking. Can I encourage you with some really great news? Here's some great news. You ready? Here's some really great news. The person who has the courage to listen will always be amazed at what's being said in this space. The person, this is the John Gunn special right here. The person who has the courage to listen will always be amazed at what's being said in this space. The person who's listening is actually going to be blown away because there are certain things that are being said in their space that will actually propel them to next levels. The person who listens will always be propelled by what they're hearing. God Almighty. Listen to doers. Let me say a couple other things. Thrive off of criticism. Fight the tendency to become personally offended by criticism. Thrive off of it. Become better. I've had some things said to me that have been pretty tough. But you know what I've learned? I'm learning to thrive off of criticism. I'm learning to use criticism as a tool that builds out who I am instead of seeing criticism as a means by which I become defensive. Some people will do amazing things because they're always learning from everything said. Some people will do amazing things because they're always learning from everything that's said to them. Like things are said and it may be mean and it may be cold, but for some reason, you hear it differently. You know, I've had people say stuff to me like, man, that didn't bother you? And I was like, no. Why didn't that bother you? Probably because I'm trying to hear it through a different kind of ear, and I'm trying to see it through a different kind of lens. Don't get it twisted. I do get offended by certain things. Don't get it twisted. I do get aggravated. But I'm learning more and more to be less aggravated, less frustrated, and more attentive. Number 6, while you're being courageous and seeking to be great, while you're doing the work, stay adaptable. I've said this from the beginning of the pandemic till now. Stay adaptable. What does that mean? Stay open to change, stay willing to learn, and stay a creative decision maker. Stay open to change, be willing to learn, and be a creative decision maker. Stay adaptable because things are going to change, things are going to shift, but you got to stay adaptable. Final thing, and Ray, I want you to put this in big bold letters. Get in the ring and fight. Get in the ring and fight. No one ever achieves anything sitting in the stands. You got to get in the ring. Thank you, Ray. And you got to fight. You got to get in the ring. You got to fight. So get in the ring, fight. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say tonight. I really want to push you all to go be greater than you've ever imagined. I want to challenge you to not negotiate anything, but go be great. Please, for the sake of your children, your grandchildren, for the world, for your church, for all the people you will ever come in contact with. Go be great. Have the courage to be great. Listen, as I shared with you, there are a lot of amazing things going on in the world. If there may be pastors or spiritual leaders who want to join us and and you can do that. And Ray's going to put up the flyer as well. It's my wife, and I'm going to support her. So when I'm done, just things will go up. Be encouraged. I want to challenge all of you who are part of the St. Paul Church to back, and I'm feeling motivation when it comes to the vision that God's given me for our church and different year. And I'm excited about it. And I believe God's going to do great things. But until then, we're going to press forward and do amazing things. God bless you. I appreciate you. I'll see you this week. I will be there on Sunday when my daughter, Alexis Michelle Cheatham, preaches her initial sermon. That's going to be fun. Be blessed, everybody. And remember, take advantage of this season and seize every moment that God gives you. Take care.